The twin suns were setting over the red hills of Colony 9, painting the sky with orange and purple colors. Small homes made of steel and glass stood in lines, quiet and lonely. It was the farthest human colony on this side of the galaxy, a place where almost no one smiled anymore. Among those homes lived a small boy named Eli Turner, just 8 years old. He loved to build toy spaceships from broken machine parts his mother brought from the repair shop. His favorite one was a tiny silver ship that could spin and make a soft buzzing sound when he pressed the button on top. Eli often sat outside alone, watching the stars come out. He wondered if anyone up there in those shining lights ever felt lonely like he did. His mother, Marla Turner, worked long hours at the colony's energy plant. She always told him, "Don't go beyond the fence, Eli. The wild lands are dangerous and there are things out there." By things, she meant the Zerenians, alien beings who lived on the other side of the forest. Humans didn't talk to them. There had been a war once, long before Eli was born. People still whispered stories about it, how alien ships burned cities, how humans fought back with fire. But Eli didn't believe every story. He thought maybe not all aliens were bad. One quiet evening, the power lights in the colony flickered. His mother was late again. Eli sat near the fence holding his toy spaceship, spinning it in his hands. The night sky looked beautiful, full of stars that shimmered like tiny lamps. Then he heard something, a soft crying sound coming from beyond the fence. Eli stood up. "Hello?" he called. No answer, only another quiet sob. He hesitated, then pushed through a broken part of the fence and stepped into the dark field. The sound grew louder. Behind a cluster of glowing plants, he saw a small figure sitting on the ground, thin, trembling, and covered in a silver cloak. When the figure looked up, Eli froze. It was a child, but not human. Its skin shone faint blue under the starlight. Its eyes were large, glowing softly like crystals. The child's face was full of fear and sadness. Eli didn't move. His heart raced, but not from fear, from curiosity. "Are you hurt?" he asked softly. The alien child didn't answer. It just hugged its knees and looked down. Eli noticed a small metal tag around its neck, shining with strange symbols. He slowly sat down a few feet away. "I'm Eli," he said quietly. "I won't hurt you." The alien child tilted its head as if trying to understand. Eli smiled. "Do you want to see something cool?" He pulled out his toy spaceship and pressed the button. It made a buzzing sound and spun in the air before landing softly on the grass. The alien's glowing eyes widened. For a moment, the sadness disappeared. It reached out its hand, 3 long fingers, and touched the toy carefully like it was something holy. Eli chuckled. "You like it, huh? It's my favorite." The alien child looked at him, then back at the toy. Slowly, it pointed at Eli and then itself as if asking permission. Eli nodded. "Yeah, you can have it." The alien smiled, the shy, uncertain smile, and held the toy close to its chest. For the first time, its eyes sparkled with happiness. Something warm filled Eli's heart. He didn't understand why, but it felt right. Suddenly, a sharp sound broke the moment, a mechanical hum in the distance. Eli turned his head. The colony lights were flickering again, but now strange blue flashes were appearing in the sky like lightning, but too organized. The alien child stood up quickly, looking afraid. It grabbed Eli's hand for a second, then pointed toward the stars, toward something coming. Eli squinted. Far above the hills, something huge moved across the sky, silent, dark, and massive. At first, he thought it was a storm. Then he saw it clearly, a ship, not one, but many, dozens, hundreds. They moved like shadows, their lights flickering like red eyes. The alien child stepped back, its small body trembling. It looked at Eli one last time, then ran into the forest, clutching the toy tightly. Eli shouted, "Wait! Come back!" But the child disappeared into the dark. He stood there, staring at the sky. The lights were spreading fast now, stretching across the horizon like a silent army. A cold wind passed through the field. The ground shook slightly. He heard his mother's voice calling from the colony gate. "Eli, get inside now!" He turned and ran back through the broken fence. Behind him, the clouds glowed red, as if the sky itself was burning. He reached his mother, breathless. "Mom, I saw something and a child went out there." Marla grabbed his shoulders. Eli, you crossed the fence again? Do you have any idea? Before she could finish, the ground vibrated hard enough to make the metal roofs rattle. Everyone looked up. The sky had changed. Hundreds of massive shapes were now visible, blocking the stars, warships, their metal bodies shining like fire. A deep sound echoed through the air. Like thunder made of iron, people screamed. Sirens started to blare. The colony's defense lights turned red. Eli stood frozen, his heart pounding. He remembered the alien child's glowing eyes, the small smile, the toy spaceship still in its hands. He whispered, almost to himself, "They're here, for him." As the first warship passed over the colony, its shadow covered everything. The lights dimmed. The air grew cold. And then, for just 1 second, Eli thought he saw a faint beam of blue light coming from the sky, like someone was scanning the ground, looking for something. He didn't know it yet, but that small act of kindness, giving away a toy, had just changed the future of 2 worlds. The next morning was not like any other day. There was no sound of children playing, no laughter, and no normal sky. Instead, the entire colony of Colony 9 stood under a dark shadow, the shadow of hundreds of warships floating above the clouds. Their shapes were massive and cold, like mountains made of metal. Red and blue lights blinked across their surfaces. Every few minutes, a low hum rolled through the air, shaking the windows and making people's hearts pound. No one knew what to do. Eli stood near the window of his small home, his face pale. His mother, Marla, pulled the curtains closed again. "Don't look outside," she said. Her voice was shaking. "The soldiers said to stay indoors until further notice." "But Mom," Eli whispered, "they're not attacking." "That doesn't mean they won't," she replied quickly. Outside, colony guards were running through the streets shouting orders. The alarm lights kept flashing red. The hum of the warships was deep and endless, like the growl of something powerful waiting to strike. A few minutes later, a message came through the colony's loudspeakers. The voice of Commander Ralden, leader of Colony 9's defense unit, filled the air. "All citizens remain calm. We are under observation by unknown vessels. Do not engage. Do not signal. Defense units are on alert until further orders." The people gathered in small groups, whispering and scared. Eli stayed close to his mother, but his thoughts were far away. He kept remembering the alien child from last night, the glowing eyes, the small smile, the toy spaceship. He whispered to himself, "They came because of him." Later that afternoon, soldiers started setting up anti-aircraft cannons on the rooftops. One of them, a kind old guard named Sergeant Weller, saw Eli watching from behind a wall. "Hey, kid," Weller said softly, walking over. "You should be inside." "It's not safe." Eli looked up at him, nervous. "Do you think they'll attack us?" Weller sighed, staring at the sky. "Can't say. They're not moving much. Just waiting. Maybe they're trying to scare us." "But what if?" Eli hesitated. "They're looking for something." The old soldier frowned. "What do you mean?" Eli shook his head quickly. "Nothing. Just wondering." Weller gave him a small smile. "Don't worry, boy. We've seen worse. The commander won't let anything happen, but deep down, even the soldiers' eyes showed fear. By evening, the colony's communication tower picked up a strange signal, a pulse of sound and light that repeated every minute. The signal wasn't like any known language. It wasn't human, but it also wasn't random. It was a pattern, clear and strong. Commander Ralden and his officers gathered in the control room. Holograms flickered around them as they tried to decode the message. The air was thick with tension. "Could be a threat," one officer said. "Or a warning," another replied. The signal repeated again, and this time louder. The translation AI struggled, then finally displayed something in rough English letters on the screen. "Return the token. The heir of Zyron must be found." Everyone went silent. Commander Ralden frowned. "Heir of what?" The AI repeated, "Return the token. The heir of Zyron must be found." The soldiers looked at each other nervously. "What token? What heir?" someone asked. Ralden turned toward the main window. Outside, one of the massive warships had moved closer, slowly, silently, as if waiting for an answer. He whispered, "They're not here for war. They're here for someone." Meanwhile, Eli sat in his small room hugging his knees. He couldn't stop thinking about those words and return the token. His toy, the one he gave to the alien child. Could that be what they were talking about? He walked to the window and peered outside. A blue light was flickering across the sky, scanning beams sweeping over the colony. They looked like searchlights moving slowly over houses and streets. Suddenly, he saw something strange. A shadow moved near the edge of the forest, small, quick, almost familiar. Eli's heart jumped. "It's him," he whispered. "The alien child." He opened his door quietly and stepped outside. The air was cold and heavy. Every sound echoed like thunder in the silent night. He ran past empty streets until he reached the old fence, the same place where he met the child yesterday. He looked around and whispered, "Are you there?" For a moment there was nothing. Then a small light appeared between the trees, soft and blue. It moved slowly toward him. Eli smiled a little. "You came back?" The alien child stepped out from the shadows. Its glowing eyes looked tired and sad. The toy spaceship was still clutched in its small hand. Eli took a step closer. "Are they your people? The ones in the sky?" The child nodded slowly. Eli's eyes widened. "They're looking for you, aren't they?" The alien hesitated, then nodded again, this time with a tear rolling down its blue cheek. Eli didn't understand everything, but he felt it. The sadness, the fear. The alien took his hand and placed it on the toy spaceship. When Eli touched it, the toy glowed faintly and made a small humming sound. Strange symbols appeared in the air, the same ones from the message. Eli gasped. "This is the token." Suddenly, a bright beam of light shot down from the sky, landing just a few meters away. The air shook. The grass bent under the force. Eli and the alien child both looked up. The nearest warship had turned directly toward them. Its red lights flashed 3 times. From the colony, alarms screamed again. Soldiers shouted, "They've locked onto something." Eli's mother ran outside, screaming his name. "Eli, where are you?" Eli turned toward her voice, but the light grew stronger. The alien child pulled his hand and whispered something, a soft alien word he couldn't understand, and then looked at him one last time before running back into the forest. The light followed. As Eli stood frozen in fear, Commander Ralden's voice came through the speakers again, angry and desperate. "All units! They're searching for a target near the outer fence. Find it before they do." Soldiers rushed out of the gates carrying guns and scanners. But by the time they reached the spot, both children were gone. Only one thing remained on the ground. A glowing mark, burned into the soil. It was the same symbol that appeared on the toy spaceship, and above them the warships began to move again, forming a new pattern in the sky, like a warning written in light. Eli didn't know it yet, but by giving away his toy, he had become part of something much larger than he could ever imagine. The aliens weren't just searching, they were coming for their lost heir. And soon, they would find him. The next day, the colony was still under the shadow of fear. The sky was full of alien warships that looked like giant silver whales floating in the clouds. Every hour, their blue scanning beams swept over the colony, slow, silent, and endless. Commander Ralden had ordered all citizens to stay indoors. The colony gates were locked, soldiers stood at every corner, and the communication tower was sending warnings to every human base nearby. Eli sat quietly in his small room, staring at the small burn mark he had seen last night, the mark left by the glowing light near the fence. He couldn't forget the alien child's eyes or the way it held the toy spaceship tightly before disappearing. His mother, Marla, was pacing around. "You need to tell me everything, Eli," she said, her voice shaking. "You were outside last night. What did you see?" Eli hesitated. "Mom, I saw the same alien child again." He looked scared," Marla froze. "You saw it again?" "He's not bad," Eli said quickly. "He didn't hurt me. Eli stopped. How could he explain what happened? That his toy started glowing? That symbols appeared in the air?" Marla sighed, rubbing her forehead. "Eli, aliens don't cry. They don't play with toys. They don't—" Eli interrupted softly. "He did." For a moment, Marla didn't answer. The air between them was heavy. Then she whispered, "You must stay inside. Promise me." Eli nodded, but deep down he knew he couldn't keep that promise. That night something strange happened. While the rest of the colony slept, a soft tapping sound came from Eli's window. He sat up, blinking. Tap, tap, tap. He walked slowly to the window and looked outside, and gasped. The alien child was there again, standing in the shadows. Its eyes glowed softly in the dark, and the toy spaceship was still in its hand. Eli quickly opened the window. "You came back." The alien nodded, then pointed toward the sky, where hundreds of warships hung silently like stars that had stopped moving. "Are they your family?" Eli asked quietly. The alien looked sad but nodded again. Then it touched its chest and said one word in a soft musical voice. "Ari." Eli blinked. "Ari, that's your name?" The alien smiled slightly. "Eli," it said, pointing at him. Eli's heart jumped. "You remember my name." Ari nodded. Then with serious eyes he pressed the toy spaceship again. The toy lit up, projecting small holographic symbols in the air, glowing blue lines and circles. Eli stared at them. "What is that?" Ari's eyes filled with tears. He placed his hand on the hologram and pointed at one glowing symbol. It looked like a crown. Eli whispered, "You're a prince?" Ari nodded slowly. Eli stepped back, shocked. "That's why the ships are here. They're looking for you." Ari nodded again. His small hand trembled as he showed another image, an older alien wearing armor and a glowing crest. The hologram flickered and formed alien words, then translated itself on Eli's wrist device. "The heir of Xirinus is missing. Bring him home." Eli's eyes widened. "You're the heir of Xirinus." Ari looked scared, shaking his head as if he didn't want to go back. He pointed at the warships, then at his heart, then made a small explosion motion with his fingers, like a blast. Eli understood. "You ran away because you didn't want war?" Ari nodded hard. Tears rolled down his face again. Suddenly, an alarm screamed outside, and loud and sharp. The colony's searchlights flashed on, sweeping across the fields. A soldier's voice shouted through a speaker, "We've got movement near Sector 3. Something's out there." Eli panicked. "They'll find you." Ari looked frightened. He stepped back, but his glowing skin made him easy to spot. Eli thought quickly. "Come inside, hurry!" He pulled the small alien through the window just before soldiers reached the area. The sound of boots and shouts filled the air. Eli hid Ari behind his bed, whispering, "Stay quiet, please." Two soldiers entered the house. "Search every room," one ordered. Marla ran in, alarmed. "What's happening?" "Reports of alien movement," the soldier replied. "Stay inside. Don't open your doors to anyone." They checked Eli's room but didn't notice Ari hiding under the blanket in the dark corner. When they finally left, Eli and Ari both sighed in relief. Marla looked at Eli, her face pale. "Eli, what are you hiding?" Eli froze. "Mom, please don't be mad." Marla's eyes went wide when she saw Ari peek out from under the blanket. The glowing eyes, the strange blue skin. She stepped back in shock. "Oh my God." "Mom, wait," Eli said quickly. "He's not dangerous. He's just a kid. They're after him because he doesn't want war." Marla stared at the small alien, trembling. Ari, frightened, held out the toy spaceship, glowing softly as if showing peace. The light reflected in her eyes. Marla swallowed hard. "What is that?" Eli said quietly. "The token. It's what they're looking for." At that moment outside, the warships began to move again, slowly, turning in perfect formation. Their engines glowed bright blue. The sound shook the colony walls. Commander Ralden's voice came through every speaker. "Attention, Colony 9. Alien fleet is descending. Defense teams prepare for engagement." Eli's eyes widened. "No, they'll attack if they see us keeping Ari." Marla held his shoulders. "Eli, this isn't your fault," but Eli shook his head. "It is. I gave him the toy. They think it's a message." "They think we took their prince." Marla looked outside, fear on her face. "Then what do we do?" Eli looked at Ari, the alien child who had trusted him, and said, "We give them the truth. We show them we're not enemies." He grabbed the toy spaceship and held it tight. "I'll take him to them." Marla's eyes widened. "Eli, no." "It's too dangerous." But Eli's voice was calm. "If we don't, there will be war." Outside, thunder rolled again, the kind that came not from storms but from the engines of alien ships ready to strike. Eli took Ari's hand. The alien squeezed it softly, trusting him completely. They stepped toward the door together as lights from the warships turned red, aiming down at the colony. The sky burned red. Colony 9 shook under the power of alien engines hovering above the clouds. Hundreds of warships hung in the sky like giant steel beasts. Their lights glowed in sharp blue lines. The sound was deep and heavy like thunder rolling across metal mountains. Commander Ralden stood on the colony's command tower, shouting orders into his headset. "Raise the shields. Prepare the drones. They're moving into attack range." The soldiers ran, loading plasma rifles, activating cannons, and checking scanners. Fear was in everyone's eyes. No one knew what the aliens wanted. No one knew that their missing prince was hiding in a small home at the edge of the colony, with a boy who only wanted peace. Inside that small home, Eli and Ari stood near the window. The red light from the sky painted their faces. Eli's mother, Marla, grabbed his arm. "Eli, you can't go out there. They'll shoot anything that moves." Eli shook his head. "They'll attack if we don't do something." "They think we kidnapped Ari." Ari stood quietly, clutching the toy spaceship, the glowing token the aliens were searching for. His glowing eyes looked sad but determined. He pointed to the toy, then to the sky. Eli nodded. "You're right. We have to show them we mean no harm." Marla looked helpless. "How? They won't listen." Eli's voice was calm but firm. "Maybe they'll listen to him." Outside, the situation was getting worse. The alien warships were slowly descending. Their scanners focused on the colony's defense towers. One false move, one shot fired, and a war could begin. Commander Ralden slammed his fist on the table. "If they wanted peace, they wouldn't bring an army." An officer shouted, "Sir, they're sending a signal again." The translation AI flickered. "Return the air, no harm will come." Ralden frowned. Return who?" Before he could think, one of the nervous soldiers misread a radar ping, a false alert, and panicked. He shouted, "They're locking weapons on us." And then, he fired. A bright plasma missile shot into the sky. It hit one of the alien ships directly. The explosion lit up the clouds. The ground shook like an earthquake, and that one mistake changed everything. The alien fleet roared to life. Their lights turned blood red. Dozens of small fighter drones flew out from the warships, diving toward the colony in perfect formation. Alarms screamed. Soldiers fired back. The sky became a storm of light and smoke. "Return fire!" Commander Ralden shouted. "Defend the colony." Eli heard the explosions and ran to the door. "No, they started fighting!" Marla shouted, "Eli, get back!" But it was too late. Eli pushed open the door and ran into the chaos, holding Ari's hand. They ran through the dusty streets as soldiers shouted and lasers burned through the sky. Buildings shook. Sparks flew. The colony was turning into a battlefield. Eli could barely breathe. "We have to get to the signal tower," he yelled over the noise. "They'll see us there." Ari nodded, still holding the toy spaceship tightly. At the same time, Commander Ralden noticed movement on the scanners. "Sir," an officer shouted. Two life forms running toward the tower, human and unknown. Ralden zoomed in on the feed. His eyes went wide. "That's..."
"The alien child?"
another officer said. "The boy with him, that's the Turner kid." Ralden's voice cracked. "He's heading right into the line of fire." He grabbed his communicator. "All units, hold fire on the east side." "Repeat, hold fire. Civilian and alien contact." But it was too late for everyone to stop. The sky was chaos. Eli and Ari reached the signal tower just as a plasma blast hit nearby. The ground exploded, throwing them to the floor. Eli rolled over, ears ringing, coughing from the dust. Ari's small body trembled beside him, clutching the toy. The light on it flickered weakly. Eli's heart raced. "Ari, are you okay?" The alien nodded faintly, then pointed upward, toward the largest ship in the sky. Its red light now focused on them. Eli stood up slowly, holding the glowing toy high above his head. "Stop, please!" "We're not enemies." For a second, everything paused. The drones hovering above the colony froze in the air. The soldiers stopped firing. Ari stood beside Eli, his eyes glowing brighter. The light from the toy grew stronger, a pulse of blue energy that cut through the smoke and fire. It projected the same alien words into the air. "Heir of Zyrinus, found. Peace token confirmed." The translation AI on the human side recognized it immediately. One of the officers gasped. "Sir, the signal says he's the heir. That's the prince." Commander Ralden stared in disbelief. Then, "The boy, he's protecting him." But before peace could return, a sudden explosion ripped through the ground. A human cannon, still locked on auto-target, fired another shot. The blast hit near Eli and Ari, throwing them back again. Eli covered Ari with his body, shielding him from flying metal and fire. He felt the burning heat and the impact of shrapnel on his back. Pain shot through his body. The toy spaceship fell from Ari's hand and rolled near the flames, still glowing faintly. Ari cried out and tried to reach it, but Eli held him close. "It's okay. You're safe." The red and blue lights from the ships flickered, confused by the sudden signal chaos. Commander Ralden shouted through the comms, "Cease fire! Cease fire now!" The battlefield fell into silence, smoke rising slowly into the air. Through the haze, both human and alien forces saw the same sight. A small human boy lying in the dust, shielding the alien child with his body. The toy spaceship glowing softly between them like a symbol of life and hope. The alien warship lights turned blue again. A voice echoed across the sky, deep, calm, and powerful. "The air is safe." The human child protected him. All the alien ships stopped moving. Their drones froze in place, then slowly began to withdraw. The humans lowered their weapons, unsure of what just happened. Commander Ralden whispered, "He saved the prince." Eli's mother ran through the smoke, tears in her eyes. "Eli, oh please no!" She reached him, falling to her knees. Eli was breathing weakly, holding Ari's hand. Ari touched Eli's chest and whispered something. A soft alien word filled with light. A small blue glow passed from Ari's hand into Eli's wound. The bleeding stopped. Eli blinked, whispering weakly, "Did we stop it?" Ari nodded. "Peace," he said softly, smiling through tears. Above them, the alien warships slowly rose higher into the clouds. The sound of their engines faded into the wind. The war had ended, before it truly began, stopped by the courage of two children, but something greater was about to begin. Smoke still floated above the colony. The air was thick with the smell of fire and metal. But for the first time since morning, there was silence, no explosions, no shouting, only the soft wind moving through the broken streets. Commander Ralden stood near the control tower, staring at the sky. The alien warships had stopped firing. They were just hovering quietly like great shadows watching from above. His officers waited for orders, but Ralden said nothing. His eyes were fixed on one thing, the two small figures near the signal tower, the human boy and the alien child. They sat together in the dust, surrounded by wreckage and smoke. Eli's mother, Marla, was kneeling beside them, holding Eli's hand. The alien child, Ari, sat close, glowing softly, like a small light in the darkness. Ralden slowly walked toward them, lowering his weapon. The soldiers followed, their steps careful, unsure what to expect. When he reached them, he stopped and looked down. Eli was weak but awake. His shirt was torn and his back was burned from the blast. Still, he smiled faintly when he saw the commander. "Sir, we didn't mean to start a war," he said weakly. "I just wanted to help him." Ralden knelt beside him. "You protected that alien with your life," he said quietly. "Why?" Eli looked at Ari. "Because he was lonely. He didn't want to fight. He just wanted a friend." The commander said nothing for a moment. His eyes softened. Then he turned his gaze to Ari. The alien prince looked back with calm, glowing eyes. He raised the small toy spaceship in his hands, scratched, burned, but still glowing faintly, and held it out to Ralden. Ralden hesitated, then slowly took it. The toy hummed softly in his hand. A projection appeared above it, an image of a tall alien figure with kind eyes, surrounded by hundreds of warriors. A voice spoke in the same alien language as before. The translator chip quickly turned the sound into English. "To the ones who protect without reason, to those who choose peace in the face of fear, you are seen, you are honored." The hologram faded. Everyone was silent. Even the wind seemed to pause. Far above, the largest alien ship opened its main hangar. A beam of soft blue light came down from the clouds, touching the ground near Eli and Ari. Then, a tall alien figure appeared inside the beam, covered in silver armor with markings that glowed like stars. It was Lord Vanar, the alien commander, and Ari's father. The human soldiers aimed their weapons, but Commander Ralden lifted his hand. "Hold your fire," he ordered. Lord Vanar stepped forward, his eyes scanning the battlefield. Then his gaze fell on his son. Ari stood slowly, his small body trembling, and walked toward his father. Vaynar knelt and placed a large hand on Ari's shoulder. His voice was deep, calm, and filled with emotion. "You are safe, my son." Ari nodded, then pointed to Eli. His glowing eyes pleaded silently. Lord Vaynar turned his gaze toward Eli. For a long time he said nothing. Then he walked closer and looked down at the wounded boy. "You protected my child," he said slowly, his voice carrying through the smoky air, "even when your own kind fired upon you." Eli tried to sit up. He's my friend," he said weakly. "Please don't hurt anyone." Lord Vaynar's expression changed. The anger and suspicion faded from his face. He turned his eyes toward the human commander. Ralden stood straight. "We didn't know who he was. The attack was a mistake." The alien leader nodded slowly. "The boy's heart spoke louder than your weapons," he said. "Because of him, there will be no war today." Every soldier, and human and alien, lowered their weapons. The smoke cleared a little and sunlight broke through the clouds. Eli blinked up at the light. His body was tired, his voice barely a whisper. "Is it over?" Ari crouched beside him and smiled. "Peace," he said softly. Lord Vaynar looked at his son, then back at Eli. He placed his hand on Eli's shoulder, and suddenly, a faint glow passed from his armor into the boy's body. The burns on Eli's back began to heal. His breathing became easier. Marla gasped, tears in her eyes. "You're healing him." Lord Vaynar nodded. "He saved a life that was not his own. It is the least I can do." Eli slowly sat up. "Thank you." Commander Ralden stepped forward. "What happens now?" he asked cautiously. Lord Vaynar looked to the sky. "We will leave your world. But know this, and when one of ours was lost, your child gave us hope again. We will remember that." Ari looked at Eli one last time. "Friend," he said quietly. "We will meet again," Eli smiled. "Promise?" Ari nodded and pressed the toy spaceship into Eli's hand. "It belongs to you now." Before Eli could answer, the beam of light surrounded Ari and his father. The ground shimmered and they vanished, rising back into the warship. The massive fleet turned one by one and began to disappear into the clouds. No attack. No more fire. Only peace. The colony was silent once more. Humans stepped out of their shelters, staring at the sky in disbelief. Commander Ralden looked at Eli, who was still holding the glowing toy. "You did what an army couldn't," he said quietly. "You stopped a war." Eli looked down at the toy, then up at the clear blue sky. "I didn't stop it," he said softly. "We just showed them what friendship looks like." Ralden smiled faintly. "Maybe that's how peace always starts." That night, the colony lights returned. People repaired homes and cleared debris, but everyone's heart was lighter. Eli sat by the window holding the glowing toy in his hands. It flickered softly, almost like it was alive. He smiled. "Good night, Ari," he whispered far away. Beyond the stars, another small light flickered in answer. 2 children, 1 human, 1 alien, connected by a single act of kindness. And somewhere in the quiet universe, a new peace had begun. Days turned into weeks after the warships left. The colony slowly returned to normal, or at least as normal as it could be after nearly being destroyed. People worked to rebuild homes, repair defenses, and clean up what the battle had left behind. But for Eli Turner, nothing felt the same. He often woke up at night and looked at the stars. He would hold the glowing toy spaceship in his hands, the gift that Ari had left behind. It still shimmered softly with blue light pulsing like a heartbeat. Sometimes Eli swore he could hear something from it, a faint hum, a whisper, almost like someone trying to speak from far away. One evening, as the twin moons rose above the colony, Eli sat by his window. The toy glowed brighter than usual, brighter than it ever had before. He tilted his head. "What's going on with you?" he whispered. Then a voice came from the toy, soft, distant, and full of static. "Eli, can you hear me?" Eli froze. His eyes went wide. He knew that voice. "Ari?" he whispered. The toy pulsed again and the voice grew clearer. "It's me. I found a way to talk through the Starlink. Are you okay?" Eli smiled, amazed. "I'm fine. I can't believe this. You're talking to me." Ari's voice sounded weak but happy. "Father says our worlds are far apart. But the link remembers friendship. The toy connects us. Eli stared at the small glowing ship in awe. You mean this toy is a communicator? Yes, Ari replied. It remembers you. It remembers peace. Eli felt his heart race. Everyone thought you were gone forever. They still talk about the day the warships came. Ari was silent for a moment, then said, My people remember too. They call it the Day of the Human Heart. Eli smiled proudly. That sounds cool. Father says we learned something that day, that sometimes small acts mean more than great weapons. Eli nodded. I think so too. Suddenly the toy's light flickered and the signal began to crackle. Eli, listen. Danger. The voice cut out. Eli sat up. Ari. What danger? The toy blinked rapidly, then went dark. For the first time in weeks, Eli felt that cold fear again. Something was wrong. The next morning, Eli went to Commander Ralden's office. The commander was reviewing defense reports when Eli walked in holding the toy. Commander, I heard Ari's voice last night, Eli said quickly. He tried to warn me about something. Ralden looked up, surprised. You mean the alien prince? Are you sure? Yes, sir, Eli said firmly. The toy glowed and spoke. He said there's danger coming. Ralden frowned and leaned closer. Danger from where? I don't know, Eli said, shaking his head. The signal broke before he could say. Ralden took the toy and studied it. The blue light flickered faintly under his touch. He turned to his tech officer. Scan this thing. The officer nodded, running a scanner over it. After a few seconds, the machine beeped. The officer's eyes widened. Sir, this isn't just a toy. It's broadcasting a low-frequency signal toward deep space. Is it dangerous? Ralden asked. No, the officer replied. But it's active. Something or someone is trying to communicate back. That night, Eli couldn't sleep. He sat by the window again, staring up at the stars. The toy was quiet now, only a faint glow remained. He whispered, Ari, are you okay? Then out of nowhere, the toy flickered again. A projection appeared. A small hologram of Ari surrounded by shadows. Eli, the peace is in danger. A group of war clans doesn't believe in the treaty. They want revenge. They are coming for Earth. Eli's heart stopped. Coming? Here? Ari nodded. They call themselves the Void Legion. They think peace is weakness. They don't care about the promise my father made. Eli swallowed hard. What can I do? Ari looked straight at him. You are proof that humans can be trusted. Father says if the Legion attacks, we must stand together, human and alien. You have to tell your people before it's too late. The hologram flickered, then faded. The toy's light dimmed to almost nothing. Eli stared at it, trembling. The Void Legion, he whispered. They're coming. At sunrise, alarms blared through the colony. Radar systems detected unidentified signals entering the outer orbit. Dozens of fast-moving ships, dark, sleek, and silent. Commander Ralden rushed to the control deck. Report! Unknown ships detected, shouted an officer. They're not responding to any calls. Their transponders are alien, but not from the same fleet as before. Ralden's eyes widened. The Legion. He looked at Eli, who had run into the command center holding the toy. Sir, it's them, Eli shouted. Ari warned me last night. They're the ones who want to destroy everything. Ralden clenched his jaw. Get the defenses ready. But this time we won't fight alone. He turned to Eli. Can that toy still reach your friend? Eli looked at the glowing toy, faint but still alive. I'll try, he said. He closed his eyes, holding it tight. Ari, if you can hear me. We need you. For a few seconds, nothing happened. Then the toy glowed bright blue, brighter than ever. A beam of light shot upward through the roof of the command center, straight into the sky. Everyone watched in silence as the signal vanished into the clouds. Ralden asked quietly, Did it work? Eli looked up at the stars, hope shining in his eyes. I don't know, he said softly, but I think. He heard me. Far beyond the galaxy, on a distant alien world, Ari stood inside a tall glass tower. The same blue light flashed before him. He looked out the window and whispered, Hold on, Eli, we're coming. The stars around his planet shifted, hundreds of lights turning, aligning, forming the symbol of the peace token, and deep in space, the war began again. The colony was silent for only a few hours before the nightmare returned. The early morning sky turned dark again, not with clouds, but with shadows. Hundreds of black warships appeared above the horizon, moving fast and low. Their designs were sharp and twisted like claws cutting through space. Each one bore a mark, a red circle with a dark center, the mark of the Void Legion. Commander Ralden stood at the control tower, his face hard. He had seen battle before, but nothing like this. These ships, they're built for war, he said grimly. No shields. No peace calls. They're here to destroy. Below, the soldiers ran to their stations, the defense cannons powered up, glowing blue. But this time, everyone felt something different. They were not just fighting for survival. They were fighting to protect the peace a child had created. Eli stood beside Ralden, holding the toy spaceship tightly. The glow from the toy pulsed faster and faster, almost like it was waiting for something. Eli, Ralden said, if your friend's people don't come in time, we'll have to fight alone. Eli looked up at the sky filled with dark ships. No, he said softly. We're not alone.